Hello everybody, welcome to my channel today. So as promised, I am filming another Get Ready With Me using Charlotte Tilbury's new Icon palette. And today's look, I am using this combo right here, the 3 colors in a row, which she has set up as date eyes. Now, when I first saw the colors, I thought they were really bold and out of my comfort zone, but I actually think the look turned out really nice. I have worn these colors several times. I've actually worn all the colors in the palette with the exception of the Disco collection. I will get to it, I promise, but the other 9 shades I have worn non-stop since I got this palette. I just love it. So I'm super happy with it and so glad that I bought it. I also pulled out an old palette from Charlotte Tilbury from the Nordstrom anniversary sale. It's still available on Charlotte's website. Fabulous little palette. I haven't worn it in quite a while because I found the colors are definitely geared towards spring. So now that it is spring, I pulled it out and I've been wearing this a ton as well, and it complements so nicely with that Icon palette. I'm also sharing with you another one of the Latex Love lip glosses. This is the color Belle Du Soir, I believe. It's the lightest shade in her group of 6 that she brought out. I also did Can Tropez, which is actually my favorite. That's the one that's kind of a corally pink, and I absolutely love it. This one is also really pretty, but I find it's a little bit light, even for me who loves my light nude lipsticks. I do find it looks a little bit better with a darker lip liner. I've worn it with MAC Boldly Bare, or Barely Bold, and it just oomphs it up a little bit. I have found though that this particular color doesn't last as long, and maybe because it's just one of the lighter shades. I have also ordered Berry Nude because I am loving this formula. Now let me just quickly add, there is something about this that might be a deal breaker for many, and I don't blame you, but I love this lipstick so much and the colors and formula that I'm willing to overlook it, believe it or not. So I did notice that it says it has patchouli oil, and I noticed a lot of people when they were writing comments were kind of saying, Charlotte, why did you put patchouli oil? And I just didn't really pay too much attention to it. And the other day I was wearing one of the glosses because I've been wearing them nonstop, and I ate something and I thought, I think that's gone off. I think it's moldy. And a couple hours later I ate something else and was like, I think that was that's going off. That's weird. And then it clicked. It's these lipsticks. They taste like mold, and I think it's the patchouli. I don't know, but it is strange, and it is a weird, awful taste. And you know what? I don't blame you guys if you're like, forget it. Because I mean, if someone told me a lipstick tasted like mold, like, hello, no, I wouldn't buy it. But I just love this formula and the color. I just don't give a damn. I'm wearing it anyway, and I just make sure I don't eat or anything while I'm wearing this lipstick now, because it really does. Unless maybe I have been eating moldy food, but I find that a big coincidence. So, and actually more so in particular this shade, I don't know, but I don't care. I still ordered the Berry Nude. So anyway, this is the look I came up with today, and wearing the date eyes, as I mentioned. I will put in a little swatch as well too, so you guys can see what the colors look like swatched. And if you want to see this look, then just keep watching. Okay, so I have zoomed you up nice and close, and the first thing I'm going to put on is my eyelid primer, and this is the Urban Decay. This is the one that has a color to it. It's called Eden. It's just kind of like a very light nude. I find this almost opaque on my lid, so it does definitely even them out. And it definitely helps with creasing. But if I am totally honest, lately I'm just not able to keep my eyeshadow on very long. It's just, I mean, it stays on a long time, but you know, when I go to take my makeup off at night, I notice like my mobile lid, it's all kind of creased up. And I mean, that is like 10 hours later, but still I kind of thought, I remember eyelid primers always keeping my eyeshadow on. So I think I'm going to powder them today, and let's see how it goes. So I'm using the Urban Decay one, which has been my holy grail, and we'll see how that goes. So I am going to use the Wonder Glow from Charlotte Tilbury. This is a sample. I've used it before. It's okay. I much prefer the Hollywood Flawless Filter. I just find that has a little bit more glow, and it just gives my skin, just makes it look more evened out. This, I just don't really find it does much. It does have a slight iridescent sheen to it, like kind of sparkle, but not glitter, just a nice little sheen. And I do have a little tiny bit of breakout, but that is PMS. And it's actually not too bad considering I usually get cysts and things. So I'm okay with a little red dot here or there, and then I can cover that up. So I'm also going to use a very light foundation again this time because it's all I have. I actually don't own any Charlotte Tilbury full-size foundation, so I just have this sample. And this is the Light Wonder. It's just a very, it's called Youth Boosting Perfect Skin Foundation. So it's a very light, light coverage foundation. And it is in 5 medium. That's the one I just got online. So I'm going to use that synthetic Wayne Goss brush so I can show you guys how it works as a foundation brush. And it's 25S, and the S stands for synthetic. I told you guys when I used it last time, I have used it as foundation and it is pretty good, but I still prefer my It Cosmetics, those blunt end ones. And I did also mention that the brush is stained, and yep, they're still stained. I've washed them again and scrubbed them, and they just, I don't know if you can really tell that on camera, but it definitely has a bit of a stain to it, which is kind of a bummer, but not the end of the world. So I'm just going to, I think I'll squeeze this actually onto my hand and then use the brush. I find these really messy. So I'm just gonna tap here and just kind of use strokes. You don't really buff with this brush, it's too long. So you just kind of paint almost. Well, that's what I do. I don't know if it's correct. Nothing I do, I don't know if it's correct. I just wing it. And okay, sorry, I just was having trouble getting that foundation out of that sachet. So I'm just put some on my hand and I'm just painting this on my skin. My mirror is over here, if that's why when I'm not looking at you guys. So yeah, it's a very, very light coverage, which is nice. I don't always want a full coverage, and especially now that I've kind of got my skin in good condition, I don't need such heavy coverage. I know a lot of people really enjoy this product. So yeah, it didn't cover any of those little red marks. So you would have to go in with a concealer if you have any little bits here and there. So you can see this is a really nice foundation brush, but again, I just prefer the kind of buffing method that I use with my It Cosmetics brushes. They're just a little bit more dense. So there, it's just a nice little bit of sheer coverage. And now I'm going to go in with a little bit of concealer. And again, I don't have any Charlotte Tilbury ones. I've used a couple and never had much luck. So again, I'm using that sample of the Nars Soft Matte Concealer. And I'm just using this little Ofra brush. It is the number 11. And I'm just covering up those little red marks here. This concealer I got, I think in December, and it's still going. So either she gave me a very generous amount or I haven't had to use much concealer, which is also good. So there, I've just kind of evened everything out. Now I am going to go in with this palette. Now I have showed you guys this before. It is the Glowing Pretty Skin Palette from Charlotte. And I got it during the Nordstrom anniversary sale. So I actually ordered it from Nordstrom. And I do see that she also has it on her regular website, and it was available on Sephora, but I haven't seen it on there anymore, so maybe it's sold out. But it is definitely still available on the Charlotte Tilbury website. So I'm going to go in and use the pressed powder and just kind of powder all over. And I'm going to use my double-ended Hourglass, and I'm going to use the tiny end because these pans are pretty tiny. So I'm just going to go in with that pressed powder and just kind of do my T-zone here and just set everything nicely. And then I'm going to go in on my eyelids and see if that helps if I set my eyelid primer. So there we go. Next, I'm going to go in again with this palette, and I'm going to use the bronzer contour kind of shade. It isn't the same as the Film Star Bronze and Glow that I have, that little dual compact, but it's very, very similar. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to use this brush, which I love. It's from Glow Minerals. They don't make this exact one anymore, but there is one similar on their website. I've had this for years, and I always go in with this sharp end, and I just love how precise it is. It kind of hollows out my non-existent cheekbones. This is definitely my favorite bronzer slash contour. The one in the original duo packaging, but these are all very good. She has them in her full face palettes as well, and they're all just as good. But that one is definitely the best. I can't pinpoint what it is exactly, what makes it so nice. It's not glittery or shimmery, but it's not matte either. It definitely has a slight, almost like satin sheen to it, but not shiny or glittery. And it definitely has a cool undertone, which is nice to kind of hollow out cheekbones if you don't have any like me. So I'm going to do blush and highlight later, but first I'm going to go back into my favorite little palette of the moment, this Icon palette, and as I promised you guys, I'm going to try and do each one of the looks. So I have already done this one, which is the Diva, and now I'm going to do today, this one is called the Date, I believe. Let me see. Date Eyes. Now, I did say to you guys, like, her premise of how she normally does the makeup is she does this row would be the prime, this would be the enhance, and then this would be the smoke. But for example, the look I'm doing today with the Date, the smoke color is the lightest one in the palette. So it doesn't really work with how she sets things up, and that's how she set this one up as well. She calls it prime, enhance, smoke. But anyway, let's just wing it. I have used this one already and I love it. So anyway, let's just get started. So the first shade I'm going to use my synthetic Wayne Goss brush. This is the number 26S. I like it because it's kind of flat, and I'm going to go in with the gold shade, which is called Prime, and I'm going to put that in the first section of my eyes. What would you call this? The inner corner, I guess you'd call that. They also work really, really nicely on your fingers. In fact, I'll do the other eye with my finger. So I just kind of put that in the middle, the very end here. And it's just a very nice bronzy gold. So now I'm going to use my finger on the other side, and these shadows are so creamy and rich. I mentioned in my other video, they almost seem like cream shadows, but they're not wet. They're definitely not a cream, but they definitely are very creamy. So that's with brush, this is with fingers, it's kind of the same. So it's just a nice gold, kind of bronzy shade. The next is the Enhance, and it's this kind of pinky shade, and I will put a little swatches here so you guys can see them on my hands. And I'm going to use my other Wayne Goss. This is Natural Hair. I got this in a Beautylish Lucky Bag, and that's number 18. And I'm going to do this on the outer edge here. and it's kind of a pinky, not plum, but it's definitely a dark pink, which normally wouldn't be something I would gravitate towards, but I'm just really, really enjoying this palette. So I've used all the shades with the exception of this last 3 here, but I promise I will use them, and I'll do it on camera with you guys because I am very intimidated by those shades. But even if I don't use them, I do feel for the rest of the palette I have definitely used it and will definitely get my money's worth as far as value, because I have used all 9 of those other shades, and the black I know will definitely come in handy as a liner. So even if I just use that green and blue once, that's not a big deal. So there we go. That's the final result with those 2 shades. And then the last one is this kind of peachy color, which she says is a smoke shade. I don't know how that would be smoke. So all I'm going to do is dab my finger in it, and I'm just going to kind of lay it on top of that gold right in the very, very middle. Kind of like how she says to use a pop shade. And it just kind of gives it a bit of a peachy look. And then I'm going to go underneath my eye also with the new Wayne Goss brush from his synthetic collection. And this is 27S. And I'm going to use that underneath my eyes. And I'm going to use that middle shade, which is called Enhance. And I just kind of line probably the outer corner up until the middle of my eyes. There we go. Now I don't have a bronzer from Charlotte Tilbury. I just use her, I consider it more of a contour, but I am going to go in with some bronze. And I want to show you guys the Wayne Goss fan brush in action. I used it in my last video, but I used it as a blush and highlight, and I shouldn't have done that. So I'm going to use today my butter bronzer, which I absolutely love. It has me thinking about summer. Mine is just the bronze. It's not one of the different shades. It smells absolutely amazing. If you don't like scents, you probably wouldn't like this, but it has a nice bit of shimmer. So I'm going to go in with this brush, and if you guys can see, it kind of has a pointed end. Sorry. You can see where it tapers into a point, which is very interesting. So you can be very, very precise. So this also would make a nice contour, but I'm going to use it today as bronzer. And you can be a little bit more precise with it. And I'm just going to warm up my skin a little. The Charlotte Tilbury one is really nice, but as I mentioned, it's a very cool shade, so I like to kind of use it as carving out and kind of giving my cheeks a little bit of definition, and then warming up the rest of my face with an actual bronze. There we go. I love this. Has a nice bit of iridescence to it without being glittery or too shiny or showing up too much texture. And there we go. Now for blush, I am going back into this palette here, and I'm going to actually mix the two. It's kind of a orange and a pink, and I think they both look really, really nice blended together, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to use another Wayne Goss brush. This isn't synthetic. I got it from my Beautylish bag this year, and it is the number 11, so it is natural hair. And I'm just going to bounce it in between the two shades here, and then just pop that on my cheeks. And I think it's just the perfect spring summery blush. I got this last year. I think the sale was in July, and I wore this palette so much, but it's kind of been put on the back of my drawer over the winter because it is such a springy, summery kind of colors. But so I'm super happy to pull that out again. And same with the highlighter. So there's one here that's kind of a gold shade, and this one has more of a pink tone to it. And again, I'm going to kind of mix those two together and use the other end of my Glow Minerals brush on the flat end, which is kind of meant for highlighting. And I just bounce it between the two shades and just put it in the corner here, and I just tap that in there, a little bit down my nose, just down the center of my face, really just to give a little bit of reflection and glow. So I am going to do my mascara off camera because that's pretty boring to watch, and my eyeliner and brows, and then I will meet you guys back here and we'll do lipstick. Okay, so I am back. I forgot to mention as I was doing my eye makeup, because a lot of you are new, I have a lot of new subscribers, so hello and welcome. I just wanted to quickly add I am blind in this eye, so that's why my eyes are very, very different. And I always try to mention that so that you guys, in case you're wondering, and so it is sometimes a little bit more difficult for me to do my makeup as well. And also a lot of people have visually impaired as well and just want to see how I do my makeup. So sometimes I do eyeliner and mascara on camera to show everybody, but I have done it quite a few times, so I think people are tired of seeing it. So unless I have a new product or something, I usually just do that off camera. So I always list all the products below, which I will do, but I just wanted to quickly mention that today I'm wearing the IT Cosmetics Superhero eyeliner. I got this from the shopping channel. They did like a showstopper, and this was one of the, it wasn't the showstopper, but it was part of all that hoopla that day. And I did buy it, and I did use it on camera one time, and I was a bit but I think I just didn't let it dry long enough. It takes a while to dry because it is pretty wet, and I can honestly say I love this as much as my Stila one. The Stila All Day Waterproof. This is amazing, and this is just as good. So I'm really, really enjoying this, and that's what I'm wearing right now. So let's get on to lips. So this one here is another one of those latex colors. The last video I did, I used the Can Tropez, which I love. It's like a corally pink. So this is Belle Du Soir, I believe. Belle Soir, I'll list the name. It's more of a peachy nude, which is usually right up my alley, but I am finding it is a little light. When I wore it the other day, I used a lip liner. I used MAC Boldly Bare, and it just kind of oomphed it up a little bit. And me, who loves nude lips, I just found it was just a little bit light, so that's unusual for me, but I do really, really like it, and it is a beautiful color, and it's a nice peachy pink, which really suits my skin tone. So for today, I'm not going to use lip liner because I want you to see the true color on my lips. And another thing I forgot to point out is that I don't need to wear, I normally blur out my lips using the MAC Prep and Prime because my lips are so pigmented, as you can see. So when I wear a nude on top, my pigment comes out too much that you can't even tell the lip color, and it really changes the color of the lip color. So this I can go in on its own, which is really nice because it's so opaque. That is one swipe on the bottom, and then I need another swipe for the top. I didn't find this shade lasted as much as the Can Tropez, which is unusual because it should be the same formula. So there is the lipstick. So as you can see, it's very light. It's very, very similar to my skin tone. And with the lip liner, it just really oomphs it up a bit. But I wanted you guys to see it as a true reflection of the color. So let me go dry my hair, get dressed, and we will reconvene. I'll give you guys my final thoughts. So see you in a minute. Okay, so here is the final look, and as you can see, the lipstick is just a tad light. Even though I do really enjoy light colors, I think it would be a little bit better with a darker lip liner, but as I said, I wanted you guys to see the true color on camera. Overall, I really like the look, even though it does seem like a bold colors in the pan. I don't think it comes across as overly made up. I think depending on the workplace, you could even wear it as a work look. And overall, I just think it's a very nice, soft, and pretty look. I just love this little palette that I got at Nordstrom from the anniversary sale. And like I said, it is still available. I think it's a fantastic little palette. You get to try highlights, contour, powder, everything. You know, quite a few of her really top products all in one palette. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope to see you all again very soon. Bye!